New at 5, city leaders in Bellevue are encouraged from the results of a recent study outlining the possibilities for expanding casinos in Nebraska.
According to the market analysis, Bellevue ranks as the #1 potential revenue generator on the expansion list. Brian Mastry is live tonight with the chances of that happening and what's next.
Aaron, John, the market analysis basically examines the future of casinos and horse racing in Nebraska, and it put Bellevue at the top of the list for expansion. Now, these are the current licenses granted for casinos and horse racing in the state in various stages of development. Many are using temporary facilities during construction. Nebraska Racing and Gaming Commission moved the Hastings license to Ogallala last month after the lack of community sport in Hastings. But no doubt other cities want in the game, even putting in applications a couple of years ago. The market analysis by the Innovation Group could pave the way. Bellevue at the top of the list, as we said, for expansion, generating more revenue, $60 million than any of the other possible expansion scenarios. But that $60 million could come from other casinos, right? There are a bunch in Iowa. You've got the Warhorse Casino at 63rd and Q. The study concluded, though, that because Omaha has such a large population base, there is money to go around. Those who are pushing for Bellevue to get a casino license believe the estimates in the report fall on the conservative side.
Brian, I was glad that the Racing Commission did the study this year. The legislature gave them until 2025 to do the study. So I did appreciate them getting the study done, because they had to get the study done before they can even consider new locations.
Hassett says other studies have put the revenue numbers over $100 million for the Bellevue Casino and Racetrack. Bellevue city officials want to tie in other projects to this if it would somehow come to fruition, including an entertainment district along with a water park, and they're hopeful the market analysis shows the way.
We have kind of a blank canvas down on the south side of Bellevue with the new Highway 34 and Kennedy interchange down there. There's literally thousands of acres available for new development.
Bellevue's proposal beyond the casino would include quarter horse racing. That involves a shorter track where the horses reach higher speeds. So far, Aaron, John, there is no timeline from the Nebraska Racing and Gaming Commission regarding expansion plans, but the recent study, I'm told, will be discussed at its January 19th public meeting. Perhaps we'll get a better idea on the next steps then. On your side in Omaha, Brian Mastry, 6 News.
Still